Hey, y'all, I'm Shane Sams. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast today. I really do appreciate you listening to this show every single week as I interview some of the world's most successful authors, influencers, and entrepreneurs. Really pumped up about my guest today. His name is Andrew Cordle of andrewcordle.com. He hosts an amazing podcast called Money Is. I've actually only known Andrew for a few months. I was at a party at Podcast Movement in Nashville, Tennessee. A buddy of mine named John Lee Dumas reached out and said, hey, man, you need to come to this party. My business partner and I, Travis Chappell of Guestio.com, are having this amazing party. There's going to be all kinds of cool people there, and you need to come and meet these people. I want to introduce you to them as well. And the very first person I sat down next to at this party was Andrew, and we hit it off right away. Andrew has an amazing story of being a serial entrepreneur. He has started businesses in everything from window cleaning to high-level online masterminds. He has literally produced millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in sales, and is currently the partner of a billion-dollar company. And the cool thing is he's doing it in a lot of the ways that a lot of entrepreneurs are doing it right now. He's doing podcasting. He's creating content. He's going out and building relationships intentionally. And he is a wealth of information. Once I talked to him, man, we spent so much time together that night. We sat around the fire. We had a couple drinks. We ate dinner together. He was teaching me about taxes. I was like, man, I've got to introduce you to the audience over at the Shane Sams Show. So on today's program, you are going to hear a lot of information about using podcasting to grow your business, about how you can explode your content and push it out all over the world, how you can build amazing relationships that are going to not only unlock opportunities for you, they're going to help you build a business that's going to inspire the world, impact the world, and gain influence in the world that can also help you and your family as well. So wherever you're listening to the Shane Sams Show today, grab a notebook and a pen, take some notes, pour yourself a cup of coffee or maybe a mason jar of sweet tea. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Three, two, one. Andrew, what is up, my friend?
What's going on, brother?
Dude, I am always fascinated by how I interact with meet people. And like, I get this email before Podcast Movement from freaking John Lee Dumas. And he's like, Shane, you got to come meet this guy, Travis. There's going to be some amazing people on this rooftop. You got to be on this rooftop. And I'm like, all right, man, I'm coming. And you never know what you're getting yourself into. And John Lee Dumas sends you an email. And little did I know that the first person I sit down beside when I get there, I'm going to be talking to all night, man. I swear I was sitting by you all night, dude.
Yeah, I came in there blind. I didn't know anybody but Travis. Me and him, he's a part of our, mastermind, and he invited me out there to it. And I wasn't even attending the podcast convention. You guys were all there with the podcast. I just literally flew for that dinner and flew out the next day. I literally flew there to support Travis because I love his project with Guestio and stuff. And I sat down there, and then me and you jived for about 2.5 hours, I think.
Yeah, man, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how like the universe just swirl. It's like what they say, like the harder you work, the luckier you get, and like and the more cool people you meet, the more cool people you meet, man. Yeah. And that was a great night, man. Travis, I just had him on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and I do love his platform, man. That Guestio thing is a genius idea. I'm actually kind of shocked nobody's tried that up until now, because like I've built my whole brand on podcasting.
Yeah.
And man, if 10 years ago, if I could have access to the people that are on that platform, get out of here,
That's what's crazy is that no one has done that project yet. It's like, as he was explaining to me, I was like, dude, that's like, are you sure no one's done that yet? And I actually went and looked, and it's a crazy project, dude.
So tell me a little bit more about you, because me and you we ran the gamut of everything from live event companies to podcasting to tax strategy. I mean, I don't know how that, I don't know if there was any stone left unturned on that rooftop that night, but tell me about you, man. Tell me a little bit about how you got started in the entrepreneur game and like how you built your brand. And I've got some more specifics I have to ask you, but give me just an overview of what kind of got you to that rooftop and here today.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a unfortunate or fortunate, however you want to look at it, serial entrepreneur. And there's good and bad with that, but it is what it is. And so I started entrepreneur, really in college, and sold my first company out of college for $1 million. I was at $1 million a year in college, freaking window cleaning, and sold it when I left college, and then just kept growing from there. Got into real estate pretty heavy. took a bloodbath in real estate for a while, and then got back into it again. And I kind of left real estate maybe about 3 years ago, just burnt out of freaking deals and moved more into public speaking, masterminds, stuff like that. Launching some pretty cool software development platforms we got launching right now. So right now we have about 20 different companies that we own. A lot of them have their own CEOs, their own. There's about 600 employees total between all of them that we manage here. So I don't know. It's a good and a bad, I suppose.
I didn't expect window cleaning.
Dude, that's where it started.
Why did you pick window cleaning out of college? Is something you could do, or something you could hire out and outsource it, or like what was that all about?
I was a freshman in college, and I got my first job ever. Kind of like that real job. I'm in high school, I worked like side jobs or whatever. But I got a job at UPS my freshman year of college, and did it for a semester, and was like, oh my God, dude, if this is freaking what my next 50 years is going to be like, I'm going to be homeless and live in a tent, dude. Like my ADD and OCD was firing on all cylinders, and I don't come from an entrepreneur family. And literally, I'm in college, I'm broke, I got no money. And it's true story, dude. I was sitting at a Walmart, and I just had a few dollars, and I had a 2-liter of Mountain Dew and a can of Pringles. And that's about all the money that I had. And that was like my lunch, basically. And I walked by the magazine aisle, frustrated as all get out of just life in general. And I picked up a little magazine called Small Business Opportunities. And I flipped it for a little bit. And basically, I had enough money to buy one or the other. And so I went with this magazine and not my Mountain Dew. And the next, I don't know, month, all I did was read that magazine cover to cover 20 times, looking at all the different opportunities. I had no money, so I couldn't do any of them. It was like, franchise this, you'll buy a Subway. I'm like, you kidding me? I can't even get a car loan, dude. And so one of them that was in there was window cleaning. And I thought, I think I could do that. And that's just squeegeeing water. Like, okay, I could do that. And that's how I literally ended up doing window cleaning while I was a freshman in college. And the next day, crazy story, the next day I was with my buddy. We're at this little eyeglass place to get a pair of glasses. Small little in a shopping center, and we're sitting there getting them, and I just blurted out to this person, the lady that was helping him. I'm like, hey, who cleans your windows? And she's like, well, actually, she's like, our window cleaner just moved away, and he used to clean our windows. Are you a window cleaner? And at that very moment, I was like, well, hell yeah, I'm a window cleaner. Of course I'm a window cleaner. And I had never cleaned a day in my life, and so I got that account, and then from there, dude, the rest was history. I got every McDonald's, every Arby's, Buffalo Wild Wings, Red Robin. By the time I left, it was $1 million a year window cleaning company. I ran from my dorm room in my underwear and a BlackBerry.
Bro, dude. That is unbelievable, man. Like I hear these stories. It's so funny, like how people get started, and like it's so funny what things like that can become. Like everybody thinks you've got to do you got to copy the guru and do this and do that to make $1 million. Nah, man, you can build an epic business. We got a guy in our community. He calls himself the pressure washing king of Northern Kentucky. And he does pressure washing, but he teaches other people how to start pressure washing businesses. And the dude's pulling, 30, 40 grand a month just teaching people how to be a pressure washer. It's unbelievable. So it's amazing that people think you can't make $1 million or you got to copy a guru. And really, you just got to roll up your sleeves and open your wallet and get after it. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. I on the Money Is show here, probably there on an average week, I'm just on the show, 4 people a week fly in, CEOs from around the nation fly into my office. This week we're doing 5 CEOs, and we spend the time with them and go over stuff. And it's amazing what businesses are making. I'm just blown away. Every time they come to my office and they're like, "Yeah, I do such business, and we just made $10 million." I'm like, "What?" There's a funny one. This guy, Big Al, came in, and he's 6'7", 300 pounds, just great dude, loves life. And I was talking to him, and he does quilts, like quilting. I'm like my grandma used to do. He's like, yeah. And just broke 300 million in quilting business.
Jesus.
And I'm like,
quilting.
In God's name, dude. Like it really is, dude. Entrepreneurship is about finding an opportunity and pressing for it, dude. Just driving that thing home, man.
Yeah, man. We teach people how to do the membership model in online business.
Yeah.
And our niche is really like we help people free themselves from employment. So we're like trying to get you to find 100 people to pay you $50 a month. You make 60 grand. Now you can work for yourself.
Yeah.
You grow that to 6 figures. You're off to the races. You can do whatever you want if you want to scale it.
That's the thing, dude. In entrepreneurship, where people get confused, that I think you don't have to go out here with some multi-million-dollar idea and to become an entrepreneur. And I think a lot of people make the mistake trying to find a $1 million idea, when in reality, the truth of it is most people, if they made 100 grand a year working for themselves, they'd be absolutely pumped, just pumped.
Yeah, man. If you can get to 20K, that's when your life just becomes stupid. That's really what it takes for most people. And we've had the weirdest thing I ever heard was this lady came in and her name's Teresa Perleyberg. She's like, "Hey, I've got this idea." I'm like, "Okay, where are you from?" She goes, "I'm from North Dakota." I'm like, "All right, okay. Tell me what your idea is from North Dakota." And she goes, "Well, I want to help people raise sheep, shear the sheep, dye the wool, and we do this thing called needle felting, which is like crochet, and we turn it into teddy bears." I'm like, "You want to do?" She's like, "Could you say that again? This is a sheep shearing, needle felting, wool dyeing business, and you're going to teach people how to do this?" And she's like, "Yeah, bro." She has 400 members paying her $50 a month. She has set a second subscription now with another sheep farmer where she provides the wool, and their business is doing like $500,000 plus. And they bought an old elementary school and they turned it into a sheep shearing, wool dyeing, needle felting event center. People fly to North Dakota just to do this. And I'm like, come on, people. Are y'all seeing what's happening here on the internet? Like, that's all you got to do, man. She's making 6 figures doing this.
It's all about sheep shears, man. That's the game, sheep shearing.
That's it, man. Let me talk about your podcast a little bit. Your podcast is fascinating. I've been a podcaster now for 10 years. And, I'm an old school podcaster, man. Let's get on Zoom podcast. Right.
Yeah.
But this movement now to do what you're doing fascinates me. Like you bring people in, you've got a set. Like, why did you decide to do it that way with your podcast, The Money Is Show? Like, why was that your method? You just wanted to get in person with people, or what was going on there?
I was making a kind of a shift in business. And, I launched it kind of right before COVID started. And then COVID hit when I was, 12 episodes in maybe. And, of course, that was a big point of me having to figure out what to go do, because we were going, in person, which means people had to fly to me. But, for me, what it came down to is just where I was at in business is there's 3 words that I love, which is inspire, impact, and influence. Especially with social media, I think a lot of people misunderstand influence. And they view influence as, how many followers you have on Instagram and how many followers do you have on TikTok. And not that that's not a KPI of influence, but as a lot of people know, a lot of those are absolutely fake. It's so easy to go out and buy them and so forth. But that's not all the influence is. And so to me, inspiring is doing what you love, like waking up and going out and doing what you freaking love to do. And there's several categories that fall into that for people. And one of the things I love to do is I'm a people person. I love the interaction. Literally at the beginning of this podcast, I told you I flew to from Utah, where I was at the time, to Tennessee, Nashville, to go to dinner with Travis and his buddies. And so to me, it was like, I love being around people. And then the second was about impact. And impact is about, in my world, impact is going narrow, if you will, but then deep. And so impact is focusing on not a ton of relationships, narrow relationships, narrow in as far as how many, but then going really deep with that person. And my whole philosophy is that by creating enough impact on people, you will naturally over time create influence. And influence is, I believe, one of the most powerful things on planet Earth is influence. Because you can influence people for good, for bad, for worse. You can influence in major ways, right? You can influence to change the world. You can influence to kill the world almost. And so for me, the show came down. I said, I want to make impact. And for me to make impact, I have to connect with the person. They have to know who I am. I have to be able to give them value and what do they do and how can I help that person? This is funny, but and this probably only happened because of the me and you meeting in person. And a relationship was formed, and we started, talking and so forth. And we got on the show a while ago, right before the show started.
and you brought up your WCW championship belt back there. And
that's right.
And you said, dude, one of my lifelong goals is to have Hulk Hogan spray paint NWO New World Order in black. And
that's right.
Literally,
that's right.
As you said, I was like, oh, dude, I think I can make that happen in like 3 months. We're working on some stuff with them, and you could come out and record the whole thing, and we'll make it happen. And when people come to my office, my point is, all I try to do is find ways to give and add value to that person. And when you said this is one of my lifelong, and I know it's not like lifelong dreams as far as like family and that stuff, but it means a lot to you. Like, dude, like obviously you're a WCW, you have all that stuff back there. Obviously you're a wrestling fan, and obviously Hulk Hogan was the king of it all for freaking decades going. It means a lot to you. And if I can make that happen and add value to you, I'm totally game for it. And so the show, it's just value. It's me being able to connect, build a relationship like me and you did in Asheville, and then add value. As I impact, influence happens, man. So, man,
it's so funny. I've gotten into that, like, as you get farther in the game and you have more, like, just, you have more disposable resources and you have things like that. Yeah. It is crazy how you can cement relationships when you do something cool for somebody. Like, do you know Ryan Moran of capitalism.com? You know, Ryan,
yeah.
Cool dude. And had him on the podcast. We were talking, and we got it talking about wrestling, and didn't even know he was a wrestling fan coming into it, right? But we spent an hour together, so you're going to find stuff out. And he had this favorite wrestler. His name was Tatanka, and he was very famous in the 90s because he was undefeated. He was Goldberg before there was a Goldberg, Yeah. And so I got off there and I ordered him for $20, man. I found an autographed WWE magazine from 1993 with Tatanka's autograph on it, and I shipped it to him. $20. Dude, he texted me like I showed up and I was Santa Claus himself, right? On Christmas, man. And and it made me feel so good just to think about what he looked like at the mailbox that day, Yeah. And people don't do that enough, man. I don't know if they feel weird about buying people stuff, but like, I don't know, just doing something cool for somebody is how relationships go, like you said, deeper. Like, so many people just want to shake hands and trade business cards, but you got to put some time into it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, how I got anywhere in business is because of, I'm going to use the word networking, but it's not the right word. And I don't know what the word is. I'm actually trying to figure out what the word is because people ask me all the time. I mean, I'm partners of a $1 billion company right now, and I network my way up to it. Mm. And, inside of it, it's, sometimes people will go network. When they go network, it's about what you just mentioned. It's about passing out business cards, shaking hands, and telling that person what you do and how you do it, and whatever it is that your thing is at the moment, right? And for me, I've never taken that approach. I've always taken the approach of getting to know that person and asking them questions, and then finding out where I can be of service. And literally, I will go do it. That's how I've built where I'm at in business. Is I just do stuff for people, and I truly have a heart for it. Sometimes they do something back for me. Sometimes they don't. And honestly, I can sincerely say it doesn't freaking matter to me. Maybe at a certain point it did in the beginning, but now it's like, I don't freaking care.
It's kind of like, though. It's like when we're friends, like not networked, like of course we're going to do stuff for each other. Right. So it's like, you don't have to think about it anymore at that point.
Yeah. And maybe, dude, that's a great example. I've never thought about it that way because like, literally when I will go meet certain people, like there is no friendship, right? Like there's no friendship, but it's irrelevant. I will go find something small, big, indifferent, gift or not a gift. A lot of times it's not a gift. It's just me knowing something about them and then trying to solve that problem for them. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe because I go about it that way, it immediately skips, 2 years of slow play dancing and immediately starts a relationship. And when you get to that like friendship phase, you naturally, like you said, you'll naturally just go help people and they'll help you back and so forth. And I don't know, dude, that's just how I built my entire freaking business, man.
It's interesting, the podcasting thing. I'd like to focus on that for a second because like You've Got the Money as podcast. I made the very strategic decision 10 years ago that, when people ask me what I do, I say I'm a podcaster, right?
Yeah.
Because we've had tons of opportunities in our business, but like nothing has been like podcasting. Like when I do podcasting, whether it's my other podcast where I serve my members of my community, or whether it's this podcast, which I'll be honest, like I want to give people the opportunity, share them out in the world, but I just know that if me and you sit down together and record a podcast together, it's so valuable, not just for our relationship, but like, because we're creating content, we're letting other people in and listen. We're sharing, we're building audience. Like this hour is immortally invaluable. Right. Mm-hmm. And I know that you could have done anything because you've got this huge business. You got the resources. You got a team of 97 people following you around. It feels like half the time. But like you clearly see the value in not only podcasting, but you told me earlier, you'll do 20 podcasts this week that you're on podcast guesting. Yeah. Like why do you think podcasting is so powerful? Like especially the guesting part of it, of going on other people's shows.
Yeah. I think that part of it is probably all about how you go on it. Again, this goes back to what we were just talking about with networking. A lot of times, even sometimes I'll interview someone and they're on it, but they're on it to either talk about themselves or they're on it to literally like kind of hawk a product, a gadget, a widget. They're kind of hawking something. And I think if you go on it with that intention, you're going to find a lot of dead end roads, because I think one thing unique about the podcast world is it's in a very authentic world. It's a very helping, serving world in a broad stroke is who podcasters are in general. And when you get on someone's podcast, like say if I was on your podcast today and I'm talking about my new blog project, whatever it is, and there's something I'm trying to sell to the people, I think it kind of rubs a lot of audiences the wrong way when the guest is hawking something. But I think if you get on there and have true conversation about entrepreneurship, and because that's what this is about, whether we talk about NFTs or crypto or podcasting, and you just give sincere life experiences, people that are getting started, people that are in entrepreneurship can listen to it, want to learn from it, and want to grow from it. And I have no strings attached. Like I have nothing on this podcast that I have some agenda to get to. It's like, dude, I'm only here to serve the entrepreneur community. And I think the entrepreneur community, especially in podcasting, picks that vibe up. If that makes sense to you.
Yeah, man. I when I first met you, like, there's always what do you do with this? And like, we kept hitting things that we were kind of like doing some similar stuff and with the speaking or with this, that, and the other. And like, that was what I got was like, this guy's authentic. He's telling me everything right off the bat, And when I get customers, even from other avenues, my podcast customers are always my most authentic people. They're telling you exactly what they need. They're talking to you. And even other places like YouTube, which is dominated by ads, or radio, which has ads. There is that weird authenticness still to podcasting that you cannot hide from. You can't hide from an hour conversation between two people that actually enjoy talking to each other, right?
Especially when it's not a rehearsed, here's the 20 questions I'm going to ask you about entrepreneurship. Like, dude, I got on the Zoom with you, 60 seconds before you started, and I have no agenda and you have no agenda. So like,
I don't even send questions for our podcast. People get mad at me sometimes. And I'm like, no, I got this handwritten thing I was thinking about at the coffee shop this morning, baby. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
How can we serve your audience? How can we provide value to the people? And I think the other thing about podcasts I think is unique is as culture changes, right? As the world adapts and changes and moves, you see the younger generation that churn a different way from, not right or wrong, but just churn a different way from other people, normally the generation before them, right? I think it's why you have these alt style investments like, I mentioned earlier, NFTs and crypto and baseball cards and so forth, that become super intriguing all of a sudden when the previous generation is like, what the hell are you guys talking? You guys are doing, you're buying digital art. This is the dumbest thing in the world. But as the economy and the market shifts with the next generation, they view things differently. And I think, maybe the previous generation was all about TV, radio, so forth. And I think this generation just likes the freaking podcast. I can't tell you how many people I know go to work at their place, wherever it is, at their job, and just turn on podcasts and listen to them
all day, all day long.
Like, yeah, man. 6 hours of podcasting they'll listen to every day.
Yeah, and you can't hide. I've been reading a lot of philosophy this year. I've just gotten so geeked out in philosophy. I don't know why. Seneca and Epictetus and all these people. And what always strikes me as I'm reading from these dead dudes from 2,000 years ago is it's just their spoken words, and you can't hide from the spoken word. Like all this technology and stuff. So the podcast just comes across as authentic because it's just two people talking and you're in the room with them. Like that's as old as time, and you can't ever like get away from it. So, something that you do that's amazing. This is what's intrigued me about you, watching you now since I've known you, is this concept of content explosion. Gary Vee does this, probably pioneered this. And I think that you're doing a great job at it because you're recording from different angles and you're thinking about different like ways you can share the spoken word and whatever you do and how you can repurpose content. Like, tell me about how you guys are using that content explosion mentality of, like when we met, you had a camera guy, you had a mic on, and we talked about things and you were filming it and you were like, yeah, we'll use that later somewhere. I don't know. You're just filming everything you do. Yeah. And I think a lot of people are intrigued by that. So tell me what kind of decision went to make that decision for yourself, and how are you guys actually implementing that, and how can anybody really do it?
Dude, I can share a lot of light on this subject of what not to do, basically.
Hey, that's the best lessons, bro.
I can share a lot with that one. It's funny to give the audience, whether you're watching or you're listening right now. I'm in my office and I'm on the podcast here, but then in my office, if you come here, hanging from the ceiling, we have about 9 different cameras that are hanging from the ceiling from all different angles, side angles, etc. And then we have all the lights hanging from the ceiling as well. So you walk in my office, it's like walking into a studio every day of the week. And then we have a switcherboard to my right beside my desk, and I have a video guy over there that's on a switcherboard moving all the cameras. So as I'm shooting this with you to help, hopefully help your audience and create content for your audience, my camera guy is moving my cameras around on a switcherboard and clipping pieces of that we can go use, all from different angles and sides of it, right? Matter of fact, while I was doing that, this is funny how much content we do. Out to my right is we have a glass wall here, and my executive assistant sits on the other side of that wall. And while I was in here, literally as you was asking that question, she was on the other side of the wall with her camera, recording me being recorded, recording a podcast. And then she'll use that for a story today. And here's the thing I can tell you though, here's one big piece that I made a mistake on that I wish I knew, and it cost me a lot of money. Gary Vee, like you said, was the kind of the guy who exploded this concept. He used to always say, and he still says, I believe, document, don't create. Document, don't create. And obviously so many people literally create. And for the viewers, it means like you say, okay, I'm going to go shoot this piece right now, and here's what I'm going to go talk about, and blah, blah, blah. And you literally create a piece. And document is just like document your day. And at the end of it, you have all this footage and go post that. Well, here's the mistake that I made. And I know a lot of people that I've talked to trying to go down that road made as well. It's a little piece that I think Gary Vee left out. And I'm not saying he did it on purpose, but it was a big piece. And that is this, because I've been to Gary's office. I shot a podcast in his office. When he says document, don't create, it is very true. And I'm documenting this right now, and then we will use it because that's raw footage. Like, I have no idea what you're going to ask me. So whatever cool advice or tips I give, it's like, oh, that's real. Go use it. The piece that is the missing piece there that I spent God knows how much money on is you do document, but on the same time, you have to create the environment to document within.
Gotcha.
And so many of my buddies that I know do this. When they hire a camera guy, I did this, hired a camera guy and said, oh, follow me everywhere. Just shoot nonstop everything that we got going on. Well, dude, that's like 10 hours of visual footage a day. Most of it is absolute worthless. And when you go back and try to edit that now, holy crap. It is ungodly to go try to edit that stuff. You may have one camera guy. You're going to need 3 editors to go through that on a daily basis and create stuff. So what the best way to go about it is create the environment. And this is me creating the environment to go document, which means I've created a space where I can literally document real life creation of content with you. And we're going to document it and we're going to go cut it up. But we're only going to record this, let's say right now, because this is where the atmosphere of stuff that should be documented is happening at. The dinner that I met you at, that's an example of, I created, if you will, the atmosphere to go to be inside of, where I'm going to meet 20 cool people and we're going to have authentic conversations. And I'm going to let my camera guy record it to see what comes out of it, right? But
gotcha.
You didn't record me walking through the airport and me on the airplane and me at the hotel. And there might be snippets we created for a vlog that we may do, but we didn't record all that.
That's B-roll anyway. That's B-roll. You can record B-roll in 30 minutes if you want to.
Exactly. For the entire 20-minute vlog if you want to shoot it. So it's all about documenting, like Gary Vee said, but it's about creating the environment. And when I went to Gary's office, that's when it hit me like, wait a second. Because I was shooting a podcast with him, and there was when I showed up at like whatever time, it was noon, there was a person in there shooting a podcast. There was already another person shooting a podcast earlier because I saw the stories. And then there was, we were in the green room. And when I was there shooting, there was another person in the green room waiting to go into his office. So he had set up a day of his schedule where he was shooting whatever it was, 8-9 podcasts that day, which was, he was documenting it, but he had created an environment where he was going to be able to say a lot of content pieces that could be reused over and over again. So he created the atmosphere and then documented it. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense. It's funny how, because we do follow a lot of that too, but I've never thought of it that way. It's a buddy of mine, his name's Aaron Walker. He says, be intentional and have great intentions, right? Like the intention is, let's document all the cool stuff we're saying. But you have to be intentional about creating the right moments so you're not literally filming yourself 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I've never thought about it. Something else you just said, I've never thought about using my guest. I've done hundreds of guest appearances on podcasts, but I've never thought about, I've always thought they'll put that out there and it'll be fine. And then maybe they'll give me some video from it, but document that process, document when you're serving other people too. And now not only is the guesting appearance, which I think is one of the most valuable things you can do is podcast guesting, but now you're getting content from it too. You're literally doubling the value you're providing for the audience when you do it that way.
100%. Because truly, when you host a podcast like this one, you're for the most part, you're asking me the questions because you're being like the Dave Letterman, if you will, and you're asking me the questions. And when I answer a question, you can give some feedback and your viewpoint, which is content from your side. But really, because I'm the guest, you're asking me tell me about your entrepreneurship. Tell me about how you did this. What do you think about your content? So as a host, although I may shoot 100 shows this year as a host on the Money Is Show, I created very little actual real content because it's always me asking the person. And so the guest side, which you keep mentioning to me is super important because yes, I know that you're going to take this podcast and say it's an hour, you're going to go post it on maybe YouTube or wherever it is and on Anchor and so forth. But because I'm getting asked the questions, is being intentional with my intentions here of I want to create real authentic content. I want to document it. So this is the perfect place where you're asking me questions and I can document it. So I'll go on.
It's incredible.
20, 30 podcasts a month as a guest because it's me twofold. Like you're saying, I'm double dipping. I'm helping a community. Plus I'm able to create, maybe from this, we create 12 social media clips. We took it to the next level and then said, let's create an environment intentionally where we can not just have one angle clipping this, but there's 9 cameras and it's just moving, so from one side, we create a clip where I'm on a 45-degree angle on this side. And the very next clip is behind me from this side. There's a camera going this way, and it's showing this side, and there's one over there, and one over there. So
and you can say the same thing, and you can use the different angles on different networks, and
correct.
It's like omnipotent. Like, what is it? There's a fly in this room flying around this person, and and you said something that's totally blown my mind right here. I do create less content on my own show than I do on other 100%. People's shows. So why 100%. In the world am I letting all that go to them only? That's where I'm actually creating my good stuff, right? I'm a guest.
If we reverse the roles here for a second and I started asking you, hey, Shane, so let's talk about, why, because if you're on my podcast, this is literally what I'd be asking you, right? I'd say, Shane, so tell me about, why do you teach others how to use a podcast to, create their first phase of financial freedom in their life? And then boom, you, without even thinking, know the truthful answer, the truthful content. You know the answer, and then you would start spinning it all out. But then you don't actually keep any of that or use any of that for your social media following to feed them, but then also be able to gain others because of your content. You have less content right now, and I have more content. Not on the what I'm saying is on this one podcast, right?
Yeah, that makes total sense, dude. We're going to geek out if I don't stop here. We're going down the podcast rabbit hole here, people. But I do want to talk to you a little bit about masterminds too. I find it interesting. A lot of people that I know that find success, right? And they find financial freedom or whatever. They are automatically drawn toward this mastermind thing. Like you said earlier, like you're really into masterminds, and they're into I don't know if it's collecting is the right word, but gathering these mastermind communities. Like I have mastermind communities. I call mine the round table. Like on top of Flip Lifestyle, I have my personal masterminds, and I, in this current stage of my life, find the most value from masterminds of anything else in my life. Like what's drawing you to that mastermind? Is that what the Power Room is? That's what the Power Room is, correct? Like what's the Power Room mastermind? Like tell me why you're drawn to that and how you're using that to serve other entrepreneurs and connect with people.
Well, there's two sides to it, right? Or maybe more than that, but there's the side of attending a mastermind and then hosting a mastermind. Both of them are relative into what I think the objective is there. If you go to the right mastermind, that is a value mastermind first. A lot of masterminds, truthfully, man, there's a lot of ego inside of them. There's a lot of pride inside and a lot of what I call chest beating. Every member there wants to go around and talk about what all they do and how they do this and they've done this. And before you know it, you've been there for 3 days. You've heard everybody peacock nonstop about what they do. And when I built our mastermind, it was one of the big things that I, on purposely with intention, there's that word again, steered clear of. And I made sure from the get-go that this mastermind is you check your ego at the door. Like, and understand, I think everybody has an ego, especially when you're a multi-million-dollar business. There is some ego there. Okay. But when you can find a mastermind that is truly about helping other people, the members are there to help the other people, is where you can find some really good help inside of. And that goes on my side as far as hosting a mastermind plus being inside of one. The mistake that I see sometimes with people inside of masterminds, and we just got done with our third quarter mastermind last week. And I literally had to go to someone and say, hey, bro, you brought this guy, but you need to go talk to him and have him stop. And what happens is they get there, this mastermind, and it's all these business owners. And then you have this person, again, that has a product, a gadget widget, and they're out just as every break, they're trying to find someone they can show them what their thing does. And let me show you how I could help you in your business. And if you buy this thing, and I saw a guy that was invited. He wasn't a member. He was invited by another member. And I just walked by, and it was the second time I heard the guy do that in a break. And so I went and told the guy who brought him, I said, man, I love the dude that you brought, but go talk to him. Like, that's not what this is about. This isn't about you trying to get 12 more clients. This is about how you add value to someone. And again, if you will go in there into a mastermind and add value. Here's a question I always ask, man, and I have found great success with this. Anytime I meet someone, I don't care if I don't know them or I do know them, doesn't matter. I will literally very quickly in the beginning of the conversation, find an opportunity for me to say, hey, Shane, hey, dude, tell me what's the latest project you're working on? And man, how can I help you? How can I benefit you? And it turns this thing on its head where if you're an entrepreneur, you're always working on a project. You always have something going on. And so when I ask, I didn't say, tell me about your business, and be very particular there. When I say, tell me about your business, what happens is you begin to tell me about your business. And from a general standpoint. But when I say, hey, tell me about a current project you're working on right now.
I see.
Every entrepreneur I have them right now, these current things I'm currently doing right now. And when I ask for a current project you're working on, your brain will be like, oh, well, I'm doing this and this and this. And it's just amazing how authentic of a conversation it starts. And not, again, tell me about your business. It's that question of tell me a current project you're working on right now. And then in the same sentence, I'll say, and tell me, tell me how I can help you. How can I bring value to you? And most of the time they won't necessarily tell you how you can bring value, but it's more of me planting the seed that I'm here to help you. And so as they tell me about their current project, then my job is truly to find out, who do I know? What do I have? What resources? Is it money? Is it connection? What do I have that I can help this person? And I think if you went to a mastermind or anytime you're with someone that you're trying to network with, if you lead with that question, it's amazing what doors will open up for you.
And it puts the guard down. I think that's the reason that guy is doing that is because he doesn't know. He doesn't know who's in the room to help him or can help him or wants to help him or cares about him or anything. So you're almost forced into that situation of, I got to shake your hand. I got to kiss the baby. I got to tell you everything about my life story. And now it just is like, look, we're all here. what are you doing right now working on project? And how can I'm going to help you. Now you can get past all that and go to the word that you've used so many times today, which is authentic. Like when you're creating podcasts, create the most authentic content you can. When you're doing the content explosion, that's just what I call Gary Vee's strategy. I call it content explosion. Yeah. But when you're doing that, create an environment where you can find the most authentic content, which is like recording the guesting stuff, Yeah. And then it's kind of like everything else, man, that we talked about with the window washing. It's the reps. Record the 20 podcasts, find the good stuff, go to the masterminds and do the reps, just like you're squeegeeing that window, baby. I'm pretty sure we could go. This could end up being a Joe Rogan 4-hour podcast if we're not careful. Entrepreneurs are a weird breed, though, because like those professors Joe Rogan brings on have lots of time. And sometimes the entrepreneurs don't have a lot of time, man. But tell everybody where they can find you, dude. Tell them about your podcast and anywhere you'd like for them to connect with you. Out on the interwebs.
If you want to follow me, Instagram is probably the fun one. I probably do the most posting live behind the scenes on my Instagram, which is my first last name, Andrew Cordle. You get my website if you want to, andrewcordle.com. And on that, you'll find a bunch of stuff that we got going on, different businesses that we run and so forth. You can peek around and look into them if you want to. And if I can help you at all, man, just shoot me a DM. And I'm happy to shoot me an email. I'm happy. Literally, it's amazing how many freaking DMs I respond to people. And I think sometimes they're surprised that I'm actually legitimately connecting with people, but it's how I built my whole business. And I'm happy to do it, man. It's my natural human nature.
All right, y'all, that wraps up my interview with Andrew Cordle. I wish I had 4 more hours to talk to that guy. I may have to bring him back on the podcast because he's got so many other things. He's got this 5 Ps of selling. He's got all this other cool stuff that he's doing right now. And I want to be able to pick his brain for you so that you can hear all that cool stuff. So we may have him back on the show. I need to just extend the Shane Sams show out and make it like a 4-hour broadcast. Would you guys like that? Somebody go leave me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts right now and be like, the only thing I wish is it was longer. If I get 2 or 3 of those, we may have to extend the program. We have to change the format a little bit so we can bring more value, more content to you here on the Shane Sams podcast. Or maybe you just love the show anyway. Go leave me a review. I'd love to read your review. I read every single one of those. And that really helps us not only spread the word about the great content that we're putting out here on the podcast, but it helps us get even bigger and better guests. And when we get bigger and better guests, we can bring that access to you so that you can learn what the most successful entrepreneurs, influencers, experts, and authors on the planet are doing to take their game to the next level. And you can do that as well. Also, don't forget the Shane Sams Show is brought to you by flippedlifestyle.com. If you would like to learn how to start, build, and grow an online business, if you'd like to make your entire living from home, if you'd like to start a membership, get 100 people, pay you $50 a month, make 60 grand a year, 200 would be 120,000. It can scale as big as you want. That's what we do over at flippedlifestyle.com. At Flipped Lifestyle, you're going to learn the exact process that my wife Jocelyn and I used to start, build, and grow our online business, replace our income, and quit our jobs. This program has been battle tested by thousands of people out in the real world, and we believe it could help you and your family too. So whether you're trying to quit your job, add a new stream of revenue, or maybe scale your existing business, we can help you do that. Head over to flippedlifestyle.com/free, and you can try our program out for 30 days right now. All right, y'all, that's all the time we have for the Shane Sams Show this week. Thank you again for listening. Until next time, take action, be consistent, be prolific, be relentless. Pick your stone up, cast it out upon the waters, and cause many ripples. We'll see you then.